Aquarius, hi, come on in just in time for your Aquarius March 2020 reading. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James. For those of you who haven't come across me before, nice to meet you. Welcome back to all of my subscribers. You belong to the best family on the net. We have great fun here, don't we? So it's good to see you each month and I appreciate your interest and loyalty. Thank you also to those of you who have had and booked private readings with me. I mentioned last month that I'm now doing 1 hour face-to-face, real-time psychic readings for people from all around the world, and it's been great. It's been great to meet, get to know some of you much more intimately and personally. And thank you for recommending me to your friends, because I know that a few of you have done that because your friends who contacted me have told me. So I do appreciate that. If you actually would like to have a private reading, then just check out the description box below and it'll give you the detail of how to get hold of me. Now, we are doing tarot today, and I'm going to add at the end of it 3 playing cards. Now, the playing cards, you might tell me in the comments whether you like the playing cards in this tarot. They come at the end of the tarot section and they're very quick. When I use the playing cards in the private readings that I do, they are as exact as a surgeon's knife, and they actually tell you what is going to happen in your future. How does this work? I don't know. Now, some people are good at music, some people are good at art. I'm not good at either of those, but I can do this. I thought people were psychic. Everyone was psychic. It wasn't until I was a teenager I found out that that wasn't the case. How does it work? I don't know. How does artistic ability come about? I don't know. It just does. All I know is that I'm the pipe. It's not me, I am the pipe through which the stuff comes. Anyway, let's have a look at some tarot first. I may use my pen to point out some of the interesting aspects of it, because there are some interesting aspects in these cards which actually help me to evoke, there's the 9 of Swords, to evoke the Emperor, the messages and energies from the realm beyond. So that's an interesting Emperor card. There's the Wheel of Fortune. A lot going on this month, I think, a lot going on. Of course, it is the spring equinox, isn't it, in the northern hemisphere, and the fall equinox, or the autumn equinox, in the southern hemisphere. I said Wheel of Fortune, didn't I? Yeah. There's 5 of Wands. Great cards, these. I love them. Had very good results from these cards, incidentally. Very good results from the playing cards, of course. They were given to me by an actress in Beverly Hills when I was there about a month ago, I think. Just before Christmas. Let's have a look. The Queen of Coins. Okay, let's have... Oh, I said I was going to take 3 playing cards, and I am a man of my word. So, let's see what they are. The 5 of Hearts. What's this? The 7 of Clubs. Something here, what might that be? The Queen of Hearts. Okay. As usual, come down, sit next to me so you can have a really good close look at these cards, the great paintings on them, and let's get this reading underway for you. Okay, Aquarius, let me get the vibe. Look, this has come up because obviously there is something that Spirit wants to reassure you about. And it's this card here, the 9 of Swords. Now, Spirit doesn't provide cards to me unless it's for a good purpose, for you, for healing and for feeling better about yourself. Let me look at the imagery on it. Here we have 9 swords in a grid. At the hilts of the swords are figures which are draped in veils. Down here we have the Page of Swords, who is no longer young, but is old and wizened, and in some respects seems almost demented. There is a sarcophagus here made from red sandstone, the top of which lies that of a holy monk, the image of a holy monk with his hands crossed and a lily on the figure. And on the side of the sarcophagus are scenes of decay, dead bodies that I assume would have been the result of the plague in medieval times. Here we have a strong man beating up on a weak man, and here we have a person that's almost in the, well, what is actually kind of like the fetal position, isn't it? What about the astrology of the card? Well, it's Mars in the second decan of Gemini, the 1st to the 11th of June. Now, the one-pointed nature of Mars doesn't sit well with the scattered energy of Gemini. And if you happen to know anybody who, in their birth chart, has Mars in Gemini, well, they're able to get fired up and argumentative and use words as their weapons. And there is, for me, with this number 9 associated the moon, the feminine planet of the moon, which is unable to repel the onslaught of this one-pointed nature of Mars. I think that this can mean sometimes feelings of guilt and regret from which we turn the energies in upon ourselves. The problem is, of course, that we all know our own Achilles heel better than anybody else, and the words that we tell ourselves are much more damaging than the words we tell other people. It's almost as if there is a period of mental self-cruelty going on. This is the tendency mentally to put yourself down. This can be opening up old wounds from the past which reinforce feelings of hurt, rumination over past events, or of self-talking, a putting yourself down, and putting on a tape that plays in your mind, which is the woe is me tape. Now, this card can also be a warning not to make important decisions during the month of Gemini, all right? So coming up into June, it may be saying, the end of May and into June, don't go making, sorry about the phone, someone with the wrong number there. Don't go making important financial decisions then. Or it could be negative thought patterns which could be mirrored to you by a male Gemini. So be aware of that. Look, there's something else that I want to say as well. And this is coming to me directly for you now from Spirit, and it is this, that despite what you may believe, you can disappoint people and still be good enough. You can make mistakes and still be capable and talented. You can let people down and still be worthwhile and deserving of love. Everybody has disappointed someone they care about. Everyone messes up, lets people down, makes mistakes, not because we are inadequate or fundamentally inept, but because we're imperfect and fundamentally human. Expecting anything different is setting yourself up for failure, because nobody is perfect. Now let's have a look. This is obviously a message that's come through to you now, because the rest of these cards are absolutely fantastic. So it's saying to you, there's that message which needed to be given to you, I think. Let's have a look here at this card, which is the Five of Wands. Now, here in the Five of Wands, what do we have? Well, we have 5 men furiously fighting with each other using clubs. We then have a sixth man at the top of the card who is standing back, looking to see what is going on and to see how, and, well, assuming that he is going to profit from the outcome. Now, on the side of his lapels here are images of the sun. He has a gold coin around his neck, and there is a bag of gold coins hanging from his hip, and he has emerald rings on his fingers. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, first, let's look at the astrology. It's Saturn in the first decan of Leo, the 23rd of July to the 2nd of August. Saturn and Leo. Well, Saturn and Leo don't really always sit very well together, you know, because Leo wants to be creative and express itself, while Saturn can often come off as being cold or dense, and it wants to set boundaries and limits. Well, Saturn can sometimes also have a bad rap, because Saturn's very often about repositioning us on the path of our way forward. I mean, we come here, we have things to do in life, and it is saying that when we're going off track, it says come back on track and, you know, do the things that you were born to do. The other thing is that I have the 5 here, which has a mystical association for me with the planet of Mars, which is very fiery. We're in a fire suit, being wands, and Leo, Saturn in Leo is a fire sign. So Leo is the fire sign in a fire suit, and added to by the energy of Mars in the number 5. What happens here is that Saturn comes along, I think, and tries to dampen down all this. So now, really, we're talking here about maybe feelings of vain striving or fear can sometimes be the case there. And I noticed that it was associated with that, just sitting beneath that 9 of Swords. But I think that what it is really the case is that you might be in the middle of a conflict, a tension or competition, and it is impacting your ability to move forward with your goals. Now, of course, sometimes conflict and competition can be really important because it makes you get better at the things that you're doing. It makes you get your act together. And this 5 of Wands can often point to competition with people who have really similar qualities and experience to you. You may be in competition, for example, in a love interest with someone else who actually looks as good as you do, for example, or who has the same sort of personal qualities that you do. And I think that if you haven't had to face the fire of competition before, then now you're going to, and you're going to know what it means. And this can also be a call to understand the differences of cultures and things. Look, there is an energy associated with here, a center of consciousness that you might call an angel, which is called Jerethel, one of the 72 names of God. I won't go into how they're derived now. But there is a book of the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible called Psalms, and I'm sure it's chapter 140, verse 2, it says, "Rescue me, O Lord, from evil men, save me from the lawless." Now, meditating on that verse, "Rescue me, O Lord, from evil men, and save me from the lawless," meditation on that will remove the dark forces' presence from your earnings and its destructive influence from your life. The light will now be your silent partner, and you will be surrounded by protection. This is also saying to me that in relation to this strife, competition, you are actually going to emerge victorious. You're going to be this person that's there. There are other things here which point to the really good fortune for you. And this card in particular speaks of it, the Wheel of Fortune. Well, here we have a wheel which is made out of gold. On the wheel itself, there are embossed the symbols of the zodiac. Sitting behind or standing behind the wheel is Lady Fortune herself, blindfolded, with 2 red wings, And notice how her red wings and her two hands together touch the wheel in 7 points. That represents the 7 classical planets in astrology before the transpersonal planets of Uranus, Neptune and Pluto were later discovered. Atop the wheel and ruling it is this sort of cherubic figure holding in this hand a phoenix, which is about resurrection and renewal, and in this hand a sword. This person climbing up the wheel, searching for a crown. This person down here, he looks like he's on fire. He's grasping for a crown which is about to fall into this sea. Now this blue disc, which is behind Lady Fortune, I think refers to your individual life. This green sea here is life out there in the world in which the individual life from time to time comes to be positioned. A couple of boats with snakes' heads as their mascots, and in here there is an old guy who's floating around and bobbing like a cork in the sea itself. Well, look, I have Jupiter, the planet, really seeping all over this. The planet of abundance and prosperity and fortune. This is the Lord of the forces of life, and it speaks to you of good fortune, changes in fortune, and in some way really a sense of destiny, I think. So these things which have been in your mind from here, I think are going to be transient. They're going to be pushed away. I think this energy here represents an unexpected change in your life which is going to turn out to be favorable, but which may not necessarily seem that way at first. So be ready to act on any unexpected opportunities. When times are good, stay centered, because things change, and you don't want to be like this guy falling down the wheel and ending up in the sea and bobbing around in the sea like the old guy. Change is about to happen. Now, you may need to alter your personal course or change things around to set the stage for the right outcomes to come into your life. And if you struggle against the course of life, you become like those who struggle against the wheel itself. Be centered, be in the center of the wheel, because then, despite the ebbs and flows of time and the turning of the world, you will never be shaken or broken. And if you stay centered to your own truth, you can get through any hardship. I'd have this thought in mind. I am a prosperous individual. I am flexible in times of change. I enjoy manifesting internal abundance externally. Abundance which created me is what I am, and I am now ready for the miracle of my life. Now, to tell you the good news even further, let's have a look at this Emperor. Well, the Emperor is someone here who really is ruling over all that he surveys, isn't it? One thing emperors do is they don't just leave it to chance to what happens in their lives. They make things happen. They have a plan. They have an objective. They say, what is an objective that I have in mind? I want to do something. I want to put together a plan which is reasonable, specific, measurable, and time-bound as to how I can get from where I am now to where I want to go. And if we look at this Emperor here, here is a person who seems to be quite capable of doing that. As a staff, he's holding what looks like a lily. He is in the colors of red and sitting on a yellow cube. They are the powers of activity and power. This armor suit that he has on, actually, I was in Prague in the Czech Republic one time, and there was an emperor who died in the 1500s called, what was his name? Rudolph II, one of the Habsburgs. That armour which was on his sarcophagus, like that's a sarcophagus, that thing there. That was the same type of armour that he had. Now, what this emperor is also doing is he's sitting on a throne, and beneath him, which he is subduing, are the blowing winds, lava flowing through the earth, buildings on fire, and here's a ship sinking at sea, water. So the suits of air, earth, fire, and water. He is in control of nature. He is in control of his own destiny. He's taking it into his own hands to push himself forward. And that's really something I think that you are going to be able to do. Because he is the son of the morning. He is the chief among the mighty. And I think that you may well be primarily controlled with power or control over other people, or probably even over yourself during this time. You will be a natural leader and organizer. Willpower and judgment are going to be displayed by you, and they are the product of your life experience today. Success through discipline and application of your talents is what this is calling for. You will be, and it's calling upon you to be, a rational thinker. Well, you are like that anyway, I think. But interestingly, and this is not generally like you, I don't think, but I think that status is going to be quite important to you during this month, as is material security and stability. You may be quite fiery and not at all passive, I don't think. Yeah, not at all passive. Yeah, just having this thought which comes through. Take me, O husband, draw me up unto you, O monarch of my soul. I think that this is really much a sense of building around you, a reinvigoration of you is what I'm getting. Say to yourself, well, first of all, examine yourself critically, especially in relation to your relationships with people who work for you or service providers and people that you work for. So examine those relationships and make sure that they're all harmonious. And say, I enjoy initiating projects. I value and honor my leadership ability. I am a responsible person. I trust my power. I rule by serving. I serve by ruling. Yeah. A lot of discipline here. Look, I don't mean any disrespect, but there could also be an interest in fantasy in a sexual sense for things to do with discipline. I just mention that because it's something which has just come through in relation to that card. But you'll forgive me, I don't mean to offend. Now let's have a look at this Queen of Coins. Well, again, quite a lavish painting, is it not? Here is the figure of a woman dressed quite elaborately. She wears what appears to be a crown, almost like a regal crown, but I'm assuming that she actually does, from historical times, derive from Venice, and Venice, not down in Los Angeles, but Venice in Italy, was a republic, and it was ruled by the rich merchants, and she's obviously connected with them. She's throwing up a coin into the air, and on the face of the coin is a mother, or a wet nurse perhaps, suckling two children, one on either breast. She has in her lap a bag of coins, gold, which are all dripping down and falling down here. In the background here are the fields of probably July, where poppies and vegetation and crops are growing quite happily. Here is a boiled ox head, which she is about to go and have some of. Actually, I had calf's head in Heidelberg in Germany one time. It didn't come out like that. If it had have done, I wouldn't have eaten it. This cup in here has some jewels in it, and obviously liquor. And down here is a plate which has, well, it looks like pills and medicines on it. And here there is a red cushion showing power that she is resting her foot on. Now, what can we say about the Queen of Coins? Well, I'd say that there are people who are going to be of interest to you, I think, during this time. And those people include a Taurus, I think, probably a Gemini or an Aries as well. Someone who hails from out of Africa or from Europe. This is a person who, the qualities that you will be showing during this period is someone who is beautiful or handsome and strong, pregnant with life, generous, kind, and benevolent is really the type of things that I'm getting. The other people that I think are probably going to be important to you are, I'm getting a lot of Sagittarius and a lot of Capricorn around here. Now, I think what's also going to be the case is that you'll be ambitious, affectionate, charming, maybe quite... This card here is coming over. Ordinarily, I'd say that there'd be a timidity associated with her, but I don't think that's going to be there because this Emperor card was sitting on top of her. So I think that you will still be, not necessarily, and I don't think you're going to be quiet. This is a very good card for people who are involved in domestic life, looking after families, raising families, looking after a home. It's also very good for people who are dealing with children generally. So it could well be people who are in the teaching profession, or people who are involved in medical care, people in college life. It could also relate to someone who is actually a student itself. This is a person who, at this time, I think you'll be ambitious, but you're going to work with instinct and intuition rather than with your usual fine intellect. You will be hard-working and practical, I think, sensible. But just make sure you don't end up making your life kind of purely mechanical during this period. I don't want to see any of this stuff. All these cards are here, and the message from the Spirit was dispose of that, move on with things. I think you will stay practical. You'll be compassionate, and you'll have a nurturing attitude towards others and to your own circumstances. And isn't that what this card was saying here also? Well, you know, that message that came through was very clear, very clear. I think she also represents health and diet, and she's quite physical. So I think that things like diet and health and exercise are going to be on the agenda for you during this month. And I think that you'll kind of just go forward steadily without an overt attack on existing institutions. Now, I know that you can be quite a revolutionary in your thought, but don't make the mistake of putting those revolutionary thoughts into practice during the month of March. Just go with the flow in a way during the month of March. Have this, look, this really signifies the ability for you to focus and produce things which are practical and are useful to society at large and to life. So make the use of this time. And also have this, I have a suggestion, devote more attention to your health and physical beauty. I know you do, but do devote even more time to your health and physical beauty. And say, I give my body the gift of loving attention. It gives me the gift of life energy, joy in living, and health. So why don't I return the favor and look after it? Let's quickly have a look at these cards here, shall we? The first one is the Five of Hearts. Well, the five can often refer to chaos and change, but it can also represent propositions and offers. I think it can refer to changes in love and family and home. You'll probably hear something of a separation or a breakup or of a divorce. It could mean changes to your home, renovations, moving, or a family member leaving home, like going to college or moving out to be with a lover or a spouse or friends. In romantic relationships, there may well be the energy around here for indiscretions in relation to romantic relationships, and that's all I'll say about that. But there could be jealousy around you, and take the time to make decisions. We have the Seven of Clubs. Yeah, the seven is very often about repercussions from decisions, consequences to be paid or to be received, something to do with solitude. It can be about introspection, soul-searching, turning things over in your mind. You can have there can be arguments or oppositions to plans that can occur. Well, there was a strife card here, wasn't there? And that talks about opposition, but you will overcome those things, I think. Maybe the feeling of being trapped in a relationship. Now, I would say, though, during this time to be careful of trouble from the opposite sex. Now, when this appears, gambling or addictions could be or become an issue. And you might get the feeling that you're in something of a state of confusion or at a crossroads in relation to something. And we have the Queen of Hearts. Well, in a nutshell, the goddess of love can be an indication of marriage or a new relationship. It can be a devoted mother, a pregnant woman, a passionate lover, or a romantic fantasy which is occurring in anything. And again, without any disrespect, you'll be very good in bed during this period. Well, there you go. March underway. Well, let me just say this, is that you were fantastic during that reading, and I really enjoyed providing it to you. I love providing these readings to you each month, and subscribe and become part of the family and belong. And let me just say this, and I want you to remember this always, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Until then, bye for now.